So let's get back to Orlando for a second. So the one thing that's been consistent, when speaking to Mob James or other people, was that everyone pretty much agrees that Orlando was a hitter, that this guy was thorough,
Yeah.
was a real
You come from,
gangster.
like, when you see, we come, our generation is called the baby gangster generation in Compton. That's why my name is BG Knockout, right? So you had to be thorough to be from our generation, bro. You couldn't, anybody that wasn't pretty much got squeezed out the way. You know what I mean? So you had to be. Yeah.
And you've said Orlando was your best friend.
Yeah. He was definitely one of them. Yeah.
Okay. Mob James said something very interesting. He said that
Tupac should have been escorted out the door, into the car, and driving away when they was whooping his ass. Now, Orlando probably could have understood, would have accepted that ass whooping, because he know I got some bona fide ass niggas whooping on my ass here.
right.
I can catch him in Compton. No, Tupac take off him. This nigga ain't nothing but a rapper. This how he looking at him. He ain't looking at him like no gangbanger. So I gotta get this fool. I go back home and they say Tupac beat me up. I can't show my face in the hood no more.
That's him romanticizing. Because to me, what's worse is the dudes who kicked him with the long, the long front toe shoes on, trying to kick him in the ribs and in the face. Now, I'm sure his punch wasn't, as hard as those shoes were. You feel what I'm saying? About them big old 300-pound guys. You feel me? So I think I think he romanticized it saying it like that, honestly.
Well, yeah. I mean, he also said that Suge should have seen this whole situation coming.
Suge knew it was consequences from the beginning.
Yeah.
Suge knew it was consequences when they put the $10,000 on the chain. A lot of people sitting here and if it wasn't for Suge, none of this would have ever happened.
Suge should have, listen, as rich as Suge was in the position he had, he should have did everything he could to diffuse that situation, bro. You know what I mean? Because that was a silly thing to do. Because even still, if you can remove yourself and if you can remove Pac from the situation, all the people you say you care about is still going to be involved. Because they can't run to the hills with you, bro. You know what I'm saying? They can't go to Encino and all these places. You feel me? So come on. And why do you want that type of energy around when you got that type of money and power, man? It was backwards, yo, in my opinion.
Well, I interviewed Greg Kading, who was one of the lead investigators. They came on afterwards to investigate that whole shooting situation. And he said flat out,
Had Suge and other members of his entourage, if they'd all been forthright and not wanted to take the matter into their own hands and handle it on the streets, yeah, absolutely, Tupac's case should have and could have been resolved really quick. Everybody knew it was Orlando. It was just getting the evidence to support that knowledge.
and Keefe D, in his statements to Greg, said that him and Suge made eye contact, and they grew up together. They knew exactly who the other person was. So, Keefe said Suge could have identified him, but Suge said absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And, in 2019, this case is still unsolved. Do you understand that mentality?
You can't say nothing, bro. You just can't. Not if you from a gang. As bad as you may want, you can't. If you're a part of the mob, you can't talk. You know what I'm saying? If you're a part of a gang, you can't talk. That's it's a code of silence. You can't say nothing.
So, if your brother, Dresta, was sitting in the car with you, and some guys that you knew rolled up, opened fire, and killed your brother right there in front of you, and the police said, "Who did it?" you would say, "I have no idea."
I have no idea.
If your mother was sitting in the car seat next to you,
I have no
And
idea, Vlad. Can't say nothing.
your own mother,
Can't.
you have kids?
Yep.
If your kids
Can't say
were
nothing.
sitting, doesn't matter who it is.
What you want me to say?
I mean, I guess is what it is at this point.
I mean, it is what it is. Like, if I signed up to something, bro, like, it's that. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay, what if a random rapper rolled up and ended up, nothing gang related, someone you're beefing with on the internet over some bullshit, just some dumb shit, which, all of us have done at some point. And this dude rolled up on you and opened fire, and your mother and kids all got killed.
Can't say nothing.
Can't say nothing. So you would not snitch on your worst enemy.
No, I can't. No, I wouldn't. See, there's a thing. Let me just tell you this. Now, this is something I tried to talk to my homies about, if they remember, right? But like certain gangs or certain races and groups have certain policies. You ever heard the book called The Art of War?
Yeah, Sun Tzu.
Okay, so this is one of the books that, prison gangs and groups read in jail. They study this book and they live by it. Now, the whites in prison have a policy that they can tell on anybody that's not a part of their group. It comes from the art of war. It's pretty much, getting rid of your enemy by any means. And the greatest war fought is the greatest war won is one that you don't have to fight necessarily, right? So, they have this thing, yo, and one thing that I do know is that if you at war, at odds with somebody or with an enemy, and you don't fight the war the same way, you're probably not gonna win. If you're not willing to go to the same extreme, you're probably not gonna win. So I presented this idea to my homeboys, you know what I mean? And they so stuck on the old days, like, you know what I mean? Like the old ways that hasn't gotten us anywhere.
So you guys are basically at a disadvantage when it comes to this gang shit.
Super disadvantage, yeah. In more ways than one, and that's just one instant, but definitely, yeah.
Well, what are some of the other ways?
In prison, the blacks are still sectioned off by city instead of being all together. And the Mexicans are not, the whites are not, the Asians are not. But the blacks are. It's the Bloods, the Crips, the Compton, the Watts, the South Central, the this, the that, the Bay Area, different parts of the Bay Area. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Instead of being all just one thing. So that's another disadvantage. But they'll come together in the instance of a riot, but that's it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just sad.
Right, because Freeway Ricky, in our last interview, told me something interesting. He said that
you can't sleep in a cell with a black guy.
Really?
No, it's against the law.
A Mexican gang member cannot have a black cellie.
No. He has to go to the hole.
So he has to basically fight that guy.
If
or something of that.
If the numbers are level or it's going to be a war, then he has to go to the hole until a Hispanic cell open up.
Unless he's a South Sider, yeah, because they have black South Siders.
Okay, but outside of those, very few people.
Outside of those, it's not happening. The Norteños, the Northern Mexicans, they have black Norteños too, so they can sell with their own also. But that's the only instance, yeah.
Right. So basically, he said that they have to go into the hole.
Yeah.
And just wait for a cell to open up.
Absolutely. Same with us. We would have to do the same thing. A black would have to do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, China Mac was here recently. He spent a lot of time in prison. And he said that...
There's majority Puerto Ricans and Dominicans.
So Latin kings and so forth.
Yeah, Latin kings, patrias, and things like that. But it's different. The culture is different. East Coast, West Coast. West Coast, you're out there, so it's more segregated, right? Everybody, black people here, even in the street, like even black people here, Spanish people, like Mexicans here, Asians here, and there's not really a lot of mingling going on. And when you come to New York, it's different. You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody's like this, so it's a different culture over here. in the prisons in New York, you know, you have your Spanish gangs, you have your black gangs, but it's not like, you know, it's not like that. Like they can't mingle with each other. Like you can't bunk with a Spanish person. It's not like that.
If you're not linked with nobody, then yeah, you're just gonna be looking stupid.
Right. Once again, another disadvantage.
Yeah. That's what I mean. See, it was different before because the BGF, the Black Guerrilla Family, you know, they had a stronghold on prison at, you know, probably in the, you know, the 60s, the 70s and stuff like that, and probably before that. So it was different at that time. You know what I mean? You probably didn't have a choice. You know what I mean? Because from what I heard, they was, you know, if you didn't fall in line, they'll do something to you, you know? But that all broke up over time, you know, with infiltration and people debriefing and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I mean, you don't hear very much about BGF these days, period.
they still act like they in prison, like on the main line, and you can't be in prison on the main line from a prison gang, yo, unless you debriefed. So like the people that be acting like they're a part of that stuff in jail, they laughable, because I know you're not just walking around like that.